One. All right, we are back for part two, talking about Elimination Chamber. Part one covered the women's chamber match, the men's tag title, and we were getting some hateful energy out the way before this second part.
Yes, sir. Talking about The Rock coming in and ruining everything. Pivoting, you know what I mean? Reading the room. Remember that look he gave everyone in 2014 when Roman won that Rumble? And he was like, I think, this year he goes, all right, I know what we got to do. I got to go corporate Rock. And I got to start running people down. And I got to start, promising to really ruin everything at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and he was giving that look, and he realized, oh wait, they might realize I'm on the TKO board, so they're realizing I'm the one that's putting myself in play for this.
Jack, did you see the Las Vegas thing? So it's the end, right? They're clearing out the stage. Isn't it the craziest thing that they filled that room up on like a day's notice for no matches? It was just a bunch of talking, right?
Yeah.
And at the end, that panel's talking and CM Punk goes, not enough people are slapping each other in the face. People need to start slapping people. The Rock needs to get slapped in the face. And when he says that, like in the background, The Rock hasn't left the stage yet. And he is giving an absolute death stare to CM Punk because he hears him. He must be on like the house speakers, because The Rock is clearly reacting to what's being said about him. And it's so funny.
And keeping up, the hater gimmick. Are we surprised CM Punk is calling for people to be smacked?
Oh, this guy, right?
Yeah, no surprise here, huh?
It's so soon. Like, the wounds haven't healed.
Oh,
goodness. Man. Too soon.
Real shots, by the way, not fake.
Oh, no. And speaking of, real shots, right? Our next match to talk about is the men's elimination chamber, which has a lot of folk that'll say what's on their mind, like United States champion Logan Paul, or KO, or LA Knight, your brother's favorite, or Bobby Lashley, or Randy Orton, or my recent favorite wrestler of all time, Drew Trolley McIntyre.
Yeah, and CM Punk can happily watch this match because there's no real glass involved. Just have to get these out the way. And before anyone takes it too seriously, I literally own a CM Punk shirt. I literally wore it when he returned at Survivor Series. I think I wore it, or no, I don't think I was wearing it for the Rumble recording, but I remember my dad called me out. He was like, you're hating on CM Punk, but you have a shirt of his.
Hey, who can hate somebody more than a fan? Metallica fans, where you at?
I'll tell you who can hate more. Drew McIntyre. This man has been on a hating spree. I don't know if you saw, but yesterday on Raw, he literally told Jey Uso, I see everything terrible that's been happening to you, and I just want you to know you deserve all of it.
It's so good. He's so good.
See, the good part about it is that he's completely justified in everything he's saying. He deserves to say that to Jey Uso after everything Jey Uso put him through.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, getting into this match.
Yes, sir. A podcast I listen to compares Drew McIntyre today to like 1990, what is it, 7 Bret Hart. Who's walking around telling everyone what was on his mind about you don't give me the respect I deserve, and like, I'm better than everybody here, and like, it's things that Bret would go on for 3 decades also still saying, but like he really believed, and like they say he's saying something that's true, but he's saying it just often enough to be annoying and frustrating.
Yeah. Definitely. But so, sir, what were your thoughts about this match going into it?
I'm going for Drew because I think that's the better matchup for Seth. But listen, if we got a rematch between him and Randy Orton, I thought that'd have been great. I think there's like the women's match, right? They're really the only two I'm really interested in.
Yeah. The moment I saw the lineup announced, or like as they were announcing the lineup, I just kept telling Ricky in the build-up, I was like, I don't know, man. This is shaping up to be like a weirdly booked chamber. And once I saw the full participants like officially announced, I literally told Ricky, I was like, I don't know if I'm too interested in this one. This is, at least in my opinion, setting up to be an obvious Drew sweep. You know, like I was like, Drew's like, if I was a betting man, I would have placed the house on Drew winning this because there was like, I was looking at all the options. I'm like, none of them make sense. Like all these other guys are kind of, you know, held up in their own feuds in a sense, you know. Other than really Randy, but I was like, I don't know if they're going to give it to Randy. But then, you know, as we were watching, my dad, or maybe commentary mentioned it, and that's when my dad brought it up to me. I forgot, but my dad was like, oh, I didn't even take into account that they might go with Randy because Randy's chasing Cena and Flair with their record.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I think that's interesting.
On the route to beat Cena and Flair, I think he's one away from beating Triple H. But, you know, we have to see.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on this match, sir? Any spots that stuck out to you?
Logan Paul is a funny guy who, was drawing. He was doodling on his pod. I think that was a very Logan Paul thing to do. Be annoying, you know?
Yeah.
Even before the match starts, Jack, right? LA Knight goes on top of Randy Orton's pod. Randy Orton stood on Bobby Lashley's pod, and I think it's not a dig at Lashley. I thought, he's literally only standing on the pod doing his pose because that's the corner he does his pose on, right?
Mm.
Remember, like, he's standing in front of that plexiglass, strikes his pose. Anyway, LA Knight comes out, really kind of like wants to, I guess, show him, hey, here's a real megastar, right? He stands on Randy Orton's pod, does his pose, and how does Randy Orton respond?
I forget.
If you blinked, you missed it. He just literally puts his finger through the grate so he touches his shoe and he literally goes, boop. And I think Drew almost laughs because like he's like everybody's like brother-in-law, his cool brother-in-law. He just goes, boop.
Oh, man. I'm not surprised by that. I know there's like a whole compilation out there of like Randy just messing around. And it's just like, it's funny that at times he'll just mess around and it's completely out of character at times, but he'll just like mess around and do something like that. One thing I'll point out about this match, because you pointed out the thing about the women's match, everyone got in the ring. No, I don't think there was any elimination. I think all 6 men got into the ring, at least from what I remember.
Oh, interesting.
Because if I remember correctly, I don't think anyone had gotten eliminated yet. Like, they all were in there. Because I remember my dad pointing out, he was like, oh, so all the men enter, but, like, the women had to get, like, eliminations off beforehand.
I didn't notice that. I wanna give kudos to KO. Remember way back in the day, Jim Ross being quoted as saying, maximize your minutes.
Yeah,
I feel like KO, like if he had a character that needed to be described in one sentence, that man maximizes his minutes like nobody else. Because all Logan Paul's gonna do is walk by, tease him because he's in his pod, but then he starts doing what? He's headbutting the wall, right? And even in the beginning, when they're like watching, they're showing the guys walk into the arena, right? We've seen this shot, Jack, a billion times. We've seen hundreds of guys walk into the arena with their rolling bag, right?
Yeah.
Remember how KO stood out amongst all the entrances?
What?
He's holding a koala in his hands for some reason. There's Cody, got his vest on. There's Seth drinking coffee, and there's KO. Cuddling a koala.
Oh, man.
Maximizes his minutes. Love him.
Yeah, definitely. The first elimination was Lashley. He got Claymored. I remember that. And then you get a close one where LA Knight hits the BFT on McIntyre. And this goes to what my brother was saying in the first episode. AJ Styles appears out of nowhere because as Lashley was getting pulled out the cage, they have to open that huge door to let him out. AJ Styles sneaks in and starts delivering a ton of chair shots and then a Styles clash to LA Knight. I don't watch the weekly show, so I didn't even know these two had beef other than maybe, what they had at the Rumble. But I was very surprised by it. I was like, I don't know what these two have, but...
This elimination chamber, everybody won a match to qualify for it. And I wonder if LA Knight qualified by beating AJ.
Interesting.
Because when they were coming out, they would announce the commentary team would say, Bobby Lashley beat somebody to get into the match. So I said that for a couple of guys.
Yeah, so maybe, but yeah, so there's something setting up with those two guys. Orton eliminated KO with the RKO. Like you said, KO didn't get a whole lot of time. I was definitely surprised with Randy eliminating KO because I just thought they were going to do something with Logan Paul and KO,
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like they really finished what they started at the Rumble.
Yeah, definitely. And then from there,
that was a really funny spot. Logan Paul busts out his brass knucks he's been using, really excited about it, being, I don't know, revving up or something, only to get hit with an RKO from out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was a real good one. He eliminates Logan Paul, and then we get McIntyre and Orton again, kind of like the women's one. You get the two sort of main picks that people are thinking are going to win this as your final ones to really make it, unpredictable in a sense, even though a lot of us were just very much convinced it was going to be Drew. I did like this final bit of sequence, though, but I was very surprised with, I don't know, I was just confused with a lot of the different booking of this chamber, and especially the fact that we saw Logan Paul come back and, he uses the brass knucks to get Orton, and that's how McIntyre wins, so it was a bit confusing to me for the most part, but, like I said, glad Drew won. I think that's going to be a real good match with Seth. They had a real good match back in 2020 at Money in the Bank when Drew started off his reign.
Right. So. Yeah, and you know what, what elements I appreciated in this final two, the men's, is that early in the match, Randy Orton hits his draped DDT on KO on the outside. And him taking that, back bump into that grate on the outside, it messed him up for the whole match. He was nursing that back so much that this guy worked with that Bluefield asked, Mr. Sleaze, is he really hurt? Because he's older, right? Randy, just coming back from a big injury, he was really wincing and contorting with his back, right? So just that playing into the finish of the match. It doesn't look like he was out ever 100% after that. And goodness, it just creates for good drama. But I think that was just good selling.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it was a very interesting, very interesting chamber match for the most part. Really, decent, good stuff. Like I said, I was just a bit confused with some of the booking, but
yeah, I mean, I'm down for Randy Orton versus Logan Paul. If it is Randy Orton versus Logan Paul, who do you think wins?
I think Randy, because you look at all the different times Logan Paul has showed up. He's gotten a lot of wins, never really lost. But then again, if it's for the U.S. title, I don't think they're gonna put the U.S. title on Randy.
Yeah, what's funny? You bring up how winning or how much Logan Paul's won recently. Actually, he was on this really long losing streak. You know what I mean? He lost to Roman, he lost to The Miz, I think. Mm-hmm. That match against Mysterio when he wins the belt, right? Was his first in a minute. So I actually think he can beat Randy.
Yeah, I could see that too.
I think people are coming into WrestleMania with too high hopes that every title's going to change.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that too, where people are just they're fully expecting, every title to be dropped in this complete reset, and I'm just maybe the main titles, with the exception being Rhea, but a lot of the other ones, it's I wouldn't be surprised if Gunther's still champ after Mania, if Logan Paul was. I don't know necessarily about the tag titles, but or the women's tag titles, but it's the women's tag titles, I don't think they're gonna necessarily lose just because Damage Control needs something post Mania, so I think maybe they keep them. But yeah, I definitely agree that a lot of people are expecting this full reset, and I'm just I don't necessarily know if that's the period that they're building to right now.
Yeah, and who's to blame for this sort of expectation of a sweep, a full reset, all the titles change? it's that Booker of the Year, Paul Triple H Levesque. Did you hear about that award?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, Booker of the Year and Promotion of the Year.
Yeah.
WWE won Promotion of the Year for the first time in 24 years.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, they had a crazy year, so I can't deny them. But at the same time, it's like, I think that one's voted by people, so it's like, hey,
yeah,
it
right?
says a lot, you know? Like, and it's not just one person's opinion.
No, it's not. It's definitely readers' opinion, and I always think too, Jack. Like when I heard it, you know, I think I've heard you talk about Stardom. I've heard it said about New Japan sort of being in this flux or like this sort of rebuilding period, right? So during this rebuilding period, Triple H is going to sneak in and take that big old prize in that vote.
Yeah, no lie, because man, stuff has been getting crazy. Like with all the stuff that's happening with like New Japan, it's like I've almost completely like fallen out where I'm just like, man, I don't know what you guys are doing, especially after their most like recent show. I was just like, I have no clue what you guys are doing here right now. Like,
it is. Don't say nothing. I'm still trying to watch New Beginning.
Oh, is that the one with Zack Sabre and Danielson on it?
No, that was in January. What was the name of that show?
I think it was also called like New Beginning in somewhere, though. I forget what it was. Hold on. I know I have my spreadsheet that I have for this stuff.
I saw that match. That was good. That was like super duper good.
Yeah. Did you think it was better than the Wrestle Dream one?
Did I think it was better than Wrestle Dream?
Remember, I think Wrestle Dream popped up on your top 10.
No, I don't. Because, you know what, I asked myself that question. Without John Moxley and Nigel McGuinness at commentary, there's a lot to be desired. There was, you know, this like great Danielson's arms hurt, you know, angle. And I don't think I was surprised that Zach picked. Do you know how it ends?
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised that it's 1-1, you know. Yeah. Zach picks up the win. But, I gotta give it to Wrestle Dream.
I won't say too much about what happened on that show, but everyone's just kind of like, what is going on over there in a sense. And then Stardom is even more chaotic right now because they fired their founder like a month ago almost. And
yeah, Jack, I told you before we started recording the last episode that I have 2 super niche questions for Jack, and one of them was, what is your take on Ogawa?
Yeah, that whole situation has been so crazy, and I'm just like, I'm so lost on what is about to happen in a sense, you know, because it's like, from the moment it's happened, it's like Stardom has not known peace. Like, you just get reports coming out each day of like, well, this talent says this and this talent says that in regards, and there's this story coming out, and you're just like, my goodness, is the Japanese wrestling world just so crazy right now.
Or Jack, I picture you looking outside your bedroom window singing to the moon, how could this happen to me?
I especially because, with all the news that's come out about it, I'm just like, man, I am interested to see what happens post March, because March is apparently the big thing we've been hearing, and March is coming up, you know, in a couple of days, and I don't know what date exactly in March, but when it comes to Stardom, everyone's just been saying a lot is going to happen come March, and I'm just like, I am afraid and yet looking forward to seeing what occurs, because it's like I've always said, I'm not loyal to any promotions. I'm more so there for the wrestlers, but at the same time, it's like, I want wrestlers in certain promotions, especially if they're promotions that I watch or they're easy to watch, you know?
Yeah.
Or like for different reasons. Like, for example, you know, it's another sort of talking point. The rumor is Okada is going to AEW. Mm-hmm. I don't want Okada in AEW. I want him in New Japan. I don't think he should leave New Japan. It seems weird for him to not be in New Japan, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I have another super niche question, but because you brought up Okada, like, how do you feel, Jack, when they're giving this grand old send off to Okada and this grand old send off to Osprey, and like this semi not so grand send off to Tama Tonga.
Oh, I saw that too, and everyone was just like, interesting.
You know.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is just everyone, like the main talking point is everyone going, "Hey Okada, are you gonna put anyone over before you leave?"
Nope. Lol.
Oh man.
Hey, guess where Tama Tonga is rumored to go?
I've heard rumors that he might be a part of NXT.
And isn't it interesting, Jack? I'm not watched. That's coming out tonight. I gotta watch it tomorrow because you never guess what they did last week. The Good Brothers showed up on NXT. How convenient, Jack.
Man.
I am excited. Jack, I want to hit you with one more non-WWE question before we talk about the main event of Elimination Chamber Perth.
All right, and then I will say, if we have time after talking about the main event, I will expand a bit more on what I was saying about Stardom. I just wanted to hold off because you know me, I can go into rant mode like that. So I wanted to hold off just so we could make sure there was
we will have time. And I know your rant is just going to be a rendition of that Simple Plan song. How could this happen to me? Jack, Minoru Suzuki has been announced for a Joshi Pro match at the end of March against Maki Ito.
I saw that as well.
And I looked at the comments on the Instagram post to see what the reaction was, and I saw one comment go, Suzuki don't know what he's getting into. What is he getting into, Jack?
I am prepared for one of the funniest matches of all time watching that, but I'm also curious to see, because, I mean, Tokyo Joshi Pro a lot of times plays into, like, these, like, gimmicks and stuff, so I'm just interested to see what is going to happen, you know? Because this is Minoru Suzuki against Maki Ito, and I'm just like, I'm down to see this match, but I'm also afraid for what might occur in this match.
I've seen Maki Ito on, like, GCW cards. I've never seen a match, but I'm asking, Jack, if I miss something? Am I missing something?
I don't know. We might... This is so confusing because it's like I said, I don't know what we're gonna get. Are we gonna get Murdered Grandpa? Or are we gonna get some type of comedy segment thing? You know, I don't know. They could have Maki Ito beat Suzuki, and because it's in Tokyo Joshi Pro, it would make absolute sense at the same time.
That's funny. I haven't been this excited and confused by a match since that one Zicky Dice show that advertised Masha Slamovich versus a bear. That was at WrestleMania weekend a couple of years ago.
Oh, man.
And the bear was the Impaler. What's her name? What's their name?
Max, I think it is.
Max the Impaler in a bear suit. And they go, I really watched that match going, what are they going to do that's worse or dangerous as a bear? Because I know they were going to bring a real bear, right? It was a big old costume. But it's Max the Impaler. And I go, yeah, that's good. This is...
Oh, works. Man. But yeah, I saw so many people excited for that match, and I was like, I have to check that out. And I was like, not only do I have to check it out, I hope Mr. Solis checks it out, and it's so good that it makes its way as number 10 on his list this year.
Let's go.
Oh man, how funny would it be if they just trick everyone and they go out and have an actual really good match with like no gimmicks to it?
Nah, just like the hardest hitting affair you'd ever seen. The one that they both like walk away from with like, you know, respect for each other.
Yeah, and then they afterwards they post pictures like Sheamus and Drew with like all the scars on their body,
all the bruises.
Oh man! But real quickly, just so we make sure we have enough time, we got to talk about the main event. It's I don't know if it's hometown. I won't say hometown, but home country, home continent. Rhea Ripley defending her Women's World Championship against Nia Jax. What were your thoughts about this match, sir?
Like the rest of the card, Jack, it was hard to believe anything else was going to happen but a Rhea victory.
I definitely felt the same way, you know, and I know my dad did as well, because it's like, Rhea's not losing in her home country, you know, like that's not gonna happen. But
Yeah.
still was very interested in it. And, you know, kind of the same sort of sentiments I share after the match I had, like, going into it. And that's what, like, a lot of people have been mentioning. And that's, Nia's kind of been, like, improving a bit, you know, since her return. You know, so it's like she's done a lot of great work in this build. And, you know, it's always good to see, you know, Rhea's a powerhouse in her own right. But, you know, going against Nia, it's like a true test of strength for her, you know, and it gives her an opportunity to essentially work babyface for, like, you know, for the first time in a while, you know, like she's now, despite her own size, she's the underdog against Nia Jax. She's the one that has to pull out these big moves that are obviously going to get her a big pop in her home country.
Yeah. And, like, you know, I don't know if I enjoyed that as much as I should have. Her sort of falling into the default babyface role, because Nia is not to be liked by anyone. You know what I mean? Like, she's coming in completely ignoring you and your opinion of her, and she's going to just hurt somebody, right? And you're the home country person, right? So, like, definitely the person to cheer. But, like, I don't know. I just am so frustrated. She's going to fight Becky, you know? Like, and then she's going to be a heel again. Like, make her a face. Please. We want to cheer Mommy, dang it.
Yeah, and it definitely...
And we want to cheer Mommy. We want to boo Dom. And that we can do both those things.
Yeah, and it's funny because just earlier today, I was talking to my dad about that, where I was saying how... who was I talking about? I forgot who it was we were talking about, but I was talking about, you know, how, like, oh, you know, this is a person who is very much kind of like Asuka, where it's like, you know, people don't want to, like, they're not, I think I was talking about Gunther, where I was saying, like, you know, Gunther, it's like people will cheer him because of how good he is, not because they want him to be like a good guy, you know, like they know he's a bad guy, but they cheer him because of how great he is. It's like kind of like that thing of like, you're so great that even your haters have to acknowledge you and, like, you know, acknowledge your greatness and all that. It's that similar thing where it's like, Gunther's so good, even, like, people that want to boo him, they cheer because he's good. It's kind of like Asuka. Asuka's such a compelling character that she never really gets booed. She's always cheered. And I was telling them the same sort of thing with that's happening in AEW right now with Hangman and Swerve, where people are talking about, oh, they're going to do, like, a double turn with these guys. Hangman's going to turn heel, Swerve's going to turn face. And I'm like, if they do that, they're not realizing the appeal of both these guys. And that's Swerve is getting cheered simply for the fact that he's over, but everyone still agrees that he's a bad guy, and they boo his heinous actions, you know, like the Nick Wayne and Darby Allin storyline, you know, like they boo him for stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
But they also cheer for him because he's a hot act. And the thing with Hangman is, like, yeah, he's been acting a bit heelish lately, but that doesn't necessarily mean the fans want him to be heel. He's acting this way because of the story they've been telling. And the story is, this man broke into my home, has beat me twice in matches. I couldn't beat him in the third one. I'm losing my mind just trying to get my win back from this guy. It's not me turning into a bad guy. It's me just trying to desperately do anything to get some type of win over this guy who's been haunting my life for the past couple of months.
Kind of. I'm going to say, actually, Jack, that the Swerve paradox or the Swerve issue is similar to Rhea's. That there's too many, like, babyface elements to ignore, right? Like, he wins a lot. That's something I've heard about Rhea from Lance Storm in a recent podcast. The fact that she wins so much is why so many people are invested in her. And I think, too, why people, like, got to give Gunther his flowers, right? When you win a lot, you're going to win the crowd over. But on top of Swerve, right, he's aspiring to be the first African-American AEW heavyweight champion. You're like, how are you supposed to hate that? And then you got Prince Nana behind him going viral. You're not supposed to be going viral as a heel. Said Drew McIntyre sometimes all the time recently, right? You're like, no, I want to dance. I want to root for you. I want you to win. this is really awkward.
Yeah. So, and you definitely feel that, like you said, you definitely feel the same thing with Rhea. And again, it's not to like say it's a bad thing, but again, it's harder to boo her when you're putting her in a big time match in the main event in her home country. It's like, it's one of those things
against Nia.
Yeah.
Who, listen, has proved yes, but like Nia, like she's very good at being the person we want to lose.
Yeah, and it's like you said with Swerve, where it's just like, how could, with his aspirations, it's the same thing here with Rhea, where it's like, how could you boo this person?
He has such a great moveset too, like I want to see him kick people in the head. I want to see him, do that move that looks super cool, break some arm. Let's go.
Yeah, and really, I really enjoyed a lot of this match, especially going back and watching it, because I heard a lot of people saying a lot of good things about it. Funny enough, I didn't see anyone spoil it. I just saw a lot of people saying good things about it, so I was glad to check it out. And, there was a lot of big spots. The one spot I do have to mention is the Samoan drop on the table. I mentioned it because they didn't move the monitors out the way, and so Rhea lands on like 2 of them.
Back first into a monitor into, and I don't know if the table was supposed to break. I'm tempted to believe it should have. Because Nia, just thinking on the fly, gets on one of their chairs, jumps, and finishes the table, Yeah. And the fact that she was so precarious on that, swivel chair makes me think that was not originally planned. Because I would have never planned for Nia to, be up on a chair that's moving underneath her.
Yeah.
But she does a splash to finish Rhea and the table off.
Yeah, and they made Rhea look really strong, They also had her get thrown back in the ring and take the Annihilator, but she still kicks out of it.
Yep.
But, of course, the big spot is Rhea hitting that Riptide to retain her title.
I think the bigger move, Jack, was the superplex.
Yeah.
But let me talk to you about this Riptide, Jack. That Riptide looked bad. I wish it looked better. I wish she got Nia higher. But I realized, and get this, Jack, when I'm watching the game footage for WWE 2K24, that Riptide doesn't look any better on the game. And I'm like, maybe it's just a bad move. Maybe we should just not do that move.
Yeah, especially because, at the end of the day, it's just kind of like a pump handle slam, I know a lot of people back in her NXT days, because of how much force she would put behind it, people wanted Rhea to take over the big boot as her finisher.
Let's go. Big boot with them big boots.
You say Rhea was proven strong? Nothing gets stronger than this. I'll show Solis right after.
Oh, Marco's showing the table spot.
Nothing is stronger than that. Besides Tony Storm knocking the table out with just a touch. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember. I was there.
If you still think LA Knight got robbed, yeah.
Oh, man. But, yeah, that I saw, I remember seeing a ton of people just being pull a test. Use that big boot as your finisher, especially because of the force you would get behind it.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, but... And especially because I
always... R.I.P. Andrew Martin.
Yeah, and I always forget who said it, but someone, basically, they said in mind, when you're coming up as a wrestler and you're trying to think of your moveset, more specifically your finisher, always have in mind that you're going to be expected to hit this on all kinds of people,
Right.
So you're going to be expected to hit it on cruiserweights, light heavyweights, the super heavyweights, people ranging all different heights and sizes, you got to think about stuff like that, because it's you got to think, how is a bigger person in the sense of weight gonna take this move? How is a taller person gonna take this move? And it's kind of that. I remember them saying, you want to move that you're going to always be able to use on everyone. And if you're not, going to go with that mindset, then you got to go with the Gunther mindset of, I need to have multiple finishers that can be used at any point.
I'm so frustrated by that. His inability to be consistent with one. It's weird. Yeah. But more power to him. It's working. I can't deny that it's working for the man.
Yeah, I always applaud him for it, just for the simple fact that it keeps his matches unpredictable, in the sense of I never know when it's going to end, and that's what I like.
Touche. Touche, Dave Meltzer. What did you think of the night overall? A short night, right?
Yeah.
With, long matches like the Royal Rumble.
I thought it was very interesting. I was like, I will admit, I was like, that is a bit odd, but as long as the people there enjoyed it, I can't be too mad at it being that short of a night.
I was sports entertained.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, hey, I appreciate having this wrap up pretty quickly, especially being able to have that skip 10 seconds button.
Hey, oh my. And so, with our time remaining, Jack, what other lingering thoughts do you have about Stardom and this is as much as I've heard, Jack. Ogawa is a fella who founded Stardom and who's founding something new that you say is maybe going to be announced in March.
Yeah, so basically, I held off on like talking about it like on my own channel because I was like, there's when it happened there was so little that we know, and also wrestling, especially journalism, isn't one that's necessarily built on integrity, like it's more about hey, can we get these headlines out fast rather than hey, can we put out the correct stuff, like so many people were posting about like Okada's quotes, and then a lot of people, like a lot of Japanese people were like, hey, you're mistranslating that quote, that's not what he said. And it's just well, it's too late. That headline has spread like wildfire now,
Yeah.
But so basically, and again, I saw someone say this as well, and I mentioned it in one of the videos I was doing. I was like, someone mentioned the worst part about being a wrestling podcaster is uploading a video and having news break that makes your take age terribly after just an hour of it being out. But so basically, from all the news that's come out, ever since Stardom got, purchased by Bushiroad and became like, a sister company to New Japan, it's kind of been like a tug of war in a sense, like Ogawa wanting to book things his way, Bushiroad forcing his hands this way with certain things, and there was rumors that like he was trying to poach talent, and again, trying to get headlines. People were like, oh, he was a rat for WWE. He was trying to get these guys to WWE. And again, who knows? Maybe news might come out that is true. But as of right now, we now understand he wasn't trying to poach anyone for WWE. He was trying to start his own company because he was getting tired of Bushiroad's involvement in his own company that he founded, which you can understand a bit. This is a company I founded. Yes, we got bought out by Bushiroad because we would like the financial support, but at the same time, they're forcing my hand a lot when I'm trying to go ahead with my own booking plans, And so basically, they caught him, and they basically were going to wait to fire him, but then I forgot what happened, so then they ended up firing him. After one of their shows, like it literally broke, and I remember one of their champions, Micah, she was pretty upset because she was like, rather than all the news being about, my first title defense and this and that, we're talking about his firing, and that like they didn't really wait, but basically he got fired, and now everyone's saying March, not necessarily because he's going to start up a company in March, but because a lot of Stardom contracts are rumored to be coming up in March, and everyone is expecting a full-on Mitsuharu Misawa Noah situation where he's going to take a ton of that roster. And a lot of people, it's funny, a lot of people are like, oh, well, is he going to be able to get financial backers, this and that? And people have, come to his defense saying, they think he's going to be able to. He's a pretty savvy businessman himself. He can likely find backers. And people are like, well, are talent going to be willing to leave for a pay cut, this and that? And a lot of people, again, came in and said, come March, you are going to realize how far loyalty goes in wrestling, because a lot of these women got their break in the industry because of him. A lot of these women have known him for quite some time. And like, it's evident with the big name Julia. She was already being rumored to leave for WWE. Now the rumor is she's going to finish up her time with Stardom in March, and then before going to WWE, she's going to help Ogawa found his new promotion. So she's delaying her travel to WWE by helping him set up. And so a lot of people are like, be ready to see a lot of this happen because, again, a lot of these women got their break because of him. You know, they got their break into the industry because of him. And the biggest name is Mayu Iwatani. You know, she's currently the New Japan Women's Championship, or the IWGP Women's Championship. And the reason people bring her up is, again, this is all rumors. This is all rumors and speculations. We don't know what's true. But the rumor is that she's locked into a long-term deal, and she doesn't want to be there in that long-term deal now that Ogawa's gone, because she's been there for as long as Stardom is a thing. She was on Stardom's very first show 13 years ago. She's been there all that time. That just goes to show you how far this loyalty thing goes, where it's like she maybe doesn't want to be there anymore now that he's not there. And a lot of people are like, they don't think everyone's going to leave because not everyone's like loyal to Ogawa necessarily, but they do expect a lot of different names if their contracts are coming up in March to make that trip over. And that's why I said, for me, it's such an interesting thing, because at the same time, it's like, you know, I really like the product that Stardom has put out, but at the same time, if certain wrestlers leave and they're the ones that I consider my like favorites, you know, it's going to be tough for me to like figure out what to do. Like, I'm obviously going to watch maybe both, but it's like, it's that thing of like, well, if a lot of my favorites start leaving, is Stardom my favorite, you know? Because again, I'm not tied to a promotion. I'm tied to the wrestlers. If most of Queen's Quest leaves Stardom, I'm going where Queen's Quest goes because I love all those women in that faction.
My goodness.
Yeah.
What a tale. And, you know, that's about as much as I've heard and what I've gleaned. And I think it's crazy, Jack, that, like, as you said, that Julia is like WWE bound, put those plans on hold to help get this going. She's still carrying around that strong women's title, you know, with like no signs of giving that up. When is that going to be? When is that going to happen? Is it going to happen at Resurgence in Ontario, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, the one name people are calling out is Stephanie Vaquer, probably to take that title over her, you know? And it's definitely confusing because, again, I brought up Queen's Quest. Saya Kamatani and Utami Hayashishita are the tag champions in Stardom right now. If they want to leave, if their contracts are coming up, they got to drop those belts soon then, you know? It's like that whole situation of like, a lot of people are like, a lot of the people that are being rumored to leave are your champions right now. And so everyone's kind of just like, keep an eye on who loses their belt soon. That might be a signal on if they're re-signing or not, or whose contract is coming up.
But where is Mercedes Moné going?
Oh, interesting. She's showing up at DPW.
Oh my. I thought it was AEW's big Mercedes Moné show in Boston.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see.
In Boston, Moné, Massachusetts.
I'm definitely going to tune in just to see the meltdown the internet has on if it happens or doesn't. Could you imagine? It is big business, and they have this theme of money, and it's Okada who shows up.
That would be crazy. That would be, you know, like, you wished Okada was coming to AEW 3 years ago, not current AEW.
Yeah, I definitely feel that same sentiment too, but definitely a lot of interesting stuff, and I can definitely say we can expect a lot to be different whenever the next time it is that you and I come together.
Yes, sir.
But with that being said, and about a minute 10 being left, thank you all for joining for these 2 episodes talking about Elimination Chamber and obviously all this other wrestling world news. As always, I've been Jack, the biggest hater, joined by my guest,
Mr. Solis, the second biggest hater.
Thank you all for joining for these 2 parts, and we'll catch you on the next one.